Hey man, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. How about you? How's your back?
It's holding up. Doing all right. Making progress every day.
Oh, that's good. What exactly happened to it?
I injured it in my fight with Jake Ellenberger, and I went. Actually, I didn't even know how I injured it in the fight, but when I walked to the back, I just started getting bad pain in my back, and then checked in with the doctor back there, and they kind of follow up. And at that time, they were like, "Okay, well, do you want to go to the hospital, or do you want to, see somebody when you get home?" And I was just like, "Oh, I'll just see somebody when I get home." Well, that night it just got progressively worse, and the next day was even worse. I could barely walk, and so I seen a doctor and everything, and it was a long process. They said I needed surgery, and I decided to wait and said that I was going to try other things. I got some injections um, in my back, and that helped for a little bit, but then went away. And then just did some physical therapy for a long time, and to make it to fights and through camp and everything, and um, just toughed it out until I couldn't tough it out anymore. It was just too much, and it's time to get it done.
What exactly did you have surgery on? Like, what was the injury?
Well, I had some bulging discs at L2, L3, L3, L4, and L4, L5. And at L3 and L4, it was the worst, and it was actually blown out, and was crushing my nerves. So I was having pain all the way down my leg to my foot, and so it just started getting progressively worse and lasting and being worse and worse every time. So I just couldn't take it anymore. And they said that there could be some permanent damage if I kept going even longer. So I decided to go ahead and get the surgery. And they did X lift at L3, L4. And yeah, it was minimally invasive. They went in through the side. Didn't have to cut through any muscle tissue or anything. They dilated the muscles and worked their way through to get to it. And it was all successful.
That's good. When do you feel like you'll be able to return to the octagon?
Well, the hopes are to return for a full return to the octagon for a fight. I'm looking at a year's time or maybe a little bit less from surgery. I'm 3 months post-op right now, and they said at the 6-month mark, if all my imaging comes back and everything, that I'd be able to start slowly getting back into training. So the goal is get back in training at 6 months, start working towards getting back in shape and sharpening my skills and getting ready for a fight.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you're healing up and getting better and getting closer to a return. Do you have anybody in mind for an ideal fight for you?
There's a bunch of people in mind, but you know what? When the time comes, I'm going to take whoever they want to give me. Of course, I mean, I'll see what they got. I would have been out for just about a year, and I'm not in no position to be asking to fight anybody. But there is some fights I'm interested in and having. So maybe once I get through whoever they want to give me when I get back, I'll be asking for some people.
Yeah. You fought from all the way from 205 to 155. Which do you feel best at physically?
Uh, I felt pretty good at. Of course, I felt really good at 205 because I was eating whatever I wanted. I literally didn't even cut weight. I mean, the first time I think I cut maybe 5 pounds. I was a lot heavier back then, but I cut to 205, and I think I was walking around 210, and then, but the second time I fought at 205, I had my pockets full, I had pants on, I had jacket on, everything, just trying to get on the weight, and I still weighed under 205, so it was the clear thing to go to 185, and I fought there for the longest time, and the guys were bigger 85, and that was fine, but I felt good, and I felt like I was able to be faster and stuff, and then decided to work my way down, and actually I got to the MMA lab in Arizona, and they said, you're a 55er, not an 85er, and I was like, man, I don't know, I'll try 170, and they're like, okay, and so I actually tried pretty much every weight class in between. I went from 85, I did a fight at 180, and then I did a fight at think I went from 180 to 70, and then I did 65, and then I did a 55. And man, 55 was stretching it. Back then, you could do IV to refuel, and that helped a lot. And I think that was the only way I was able to feel decent enough to fight. But 170, I feel really comfortable at. I don't have a terrible cut. I do have to cut weight and be strict on myself, but it's a cut that I could handle and not bad. And maybe we'll see me at 185, but 170 is where I like to stay. And I think I'll have my most success there. But I'm always down for short notice fights at 185. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I know you've had to fill in on a short notice fight against Safe Northcutt at least. How short was the notice?
I got it on 8 days' notice. Yeah.
On 8 days?
Yeah, and I was coming back from I think that was coming back. Yeah, I was coming back from an orbital break. I broke my orbital in training, and so I was coming back from that. But yeah, I got on 8 days' notice. I had just actually got booked for a fight. I think it was a month after that fight. And I just, or maybe it was a month. It was like 3 months later or something. 6 weeks, whatever. 6 weeks later, I had a fight already booked, and I just signed the contract and everything. And they were like, my manager called me in the middle of the night and was like, "Hey, do you want to fight Sage Northcutt?" And I was like, there's no way they're going to give me that fight. And he's like, "No, will you fight him?" I was like, "Well, I'm not going to 155 anymore, because I was going to 170 anyway." And they're like, "No, it's at 170." I was like, "There's no way." And then so he's like, "Yeah, man, I promise, 170. Will you take it?" I was like, "Oh, how long do I have to cut?" He's like, 8 days. I was like, "Okay, I'll make the weight. Yeah, let's do it." Like, I can't believe they're giving me a fight, but I'll do it. So I think I was like, I don't know, probably 200 pounds, 8 days out, and cut the weight and made it. And
was that tough?
Fought, so. Yeah, it was a fun one. I mean, of course, all the hype was on him at that point and at that time, so it was a good opportunity for me to take advantage of.
Yeah, was it hard to get a game plan together for an 8 days notice?
Not really. I had watched his fights prior, just because I actively watch fights. So I've seen him, and I didn't really. The game plan was just okay. We thought he was going to slow down, and just for me to do what I always do and put the pressure on him. And we thought he'd slow down towards the later rounds, and I'd finish him into the second, at the end of the second or into the third, and ended up being in the second. I finished by submission. I started really slow, which sucked, but I knew he'd be explosive and fast. So I knew I'd take some shots, but I was not worried about that. So.
Yeah, does it feel any better, or does it feel better to win in on a short notice win or a short notice fight than a regular fight? Because it's just more, you have to go through more.
I mean, I think the win in general feels just as great every time you win.
Yeah.
But it is nice to you didn't spend all this time grueling over through camp and making it through camp and taking a beating, kind of wearing on your body, and you just got a short notice fight and you still felt good and went in there and won. Man, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. Whenever you fought Leon Edwards, how do you feel about the judge's decision in that? Do you feel like you should have maybe won that one?
I'm not a judge. So, but honestly, if I'm going to give you my honest opinion is I thought going into the judge's scorecard, I thought he had won. I thought I did a lot of damage and I hurt him, and I was bringing the fight to him, and he wasn't really bringing the fight to me. But in my mind, I had him winning the decision just because he did out-grapple me at the time and hold me down, I guess. So I had him winning the decision. That's my honest opinion. Would I like it back? Yeah. Would I like to fight him again? Yeah, of course. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I believe I saw somewhere that you were pretty good at football. What made you choose MMA over continuing football?
Yeah, I played football in high school. I started playing football when I was a freshman in high school. I wanted to play before that. My mom wouldn't let me, and So I started playing football and was really good. I played backyard football all the time with my brothers and friends and everything. So I was always in love with the sport. And in my mind at that time, I was, okay, I'm going to go to high school. I'm going to play and I'm going to get a college scholarship. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to go to the NFL. That was what I was going to do. And, you know, it was right in line to do that. Right out my freshman year, I went up, suited out for varsity, lettered varsity, and then moved into a new school and went to that school. And because they didn't know me, I started on the JV, but quickly moved up to varsity, played varsity, started varsity up there, played lettered there. So I lettered all 4 years, but I had college offers, full ride scholarships to go play after my senior year, and decided to fell out of love with football and fell in love with mixed martial arts. And I didn't have a place to train, and I just seen it on TV one time in high school, and I was like, man, what is this? I remember watching the UFC and was like, what is this? I want to do that. Like, I want to start doing that. And then at that point, it kind of like I had some conflict with football kind of going on too, so it was just like I started falling in love with that. And then me and my brothers would watch fights and then like practice techniques on each other just on whatever we could find, YouTube fights, watching fights, and do that. And we had a little underground fight club that went, and we would throw down with some friends and stuff. And then after high school, I moved and then I'm trying to find a gym and couldn't find anywhere. And then I moved again and went to Minnesota and lived in a small town. Closest big gym was 6 hours away. So I was like, that's not going to work. And luckily there were some local fighters in the town there. And so I started training there and got my start at the Stomp Factory in Thief River Falls, Minnesota.
What position did you play in football?
I played middle linebacker. I also played some O-line and defensive line at times, but my go spot was middle linebacker.
Do you still keep up with the sport?
Not as much. My kids are really into sports and watching and stuff like that. My oldest definitely, he follows and knows all the stats and everything. But I don't follow as much. The only sport I really follow is mixed martial arts now.
No. Well, do you have a favorite
it's big
team?
in my household. I mean, every fight night we're just like, all right, we're gonna go get snacks and drinks, and we're gonna go and watch the fights. And my kids, like, they know it's fight day. Yeah, we get to go to the store get snacks, and we all watch the fight. So
yeah, are they old enough to watch you fight to where you allow it?
Yeah, they've always been fight. Actually, my oldest, when he was first born, he had to be maybe 6 months old, and he went to my first fight. And then after that, it was just like, well, it's too loud, and we didn't think of like headphones or anything, and it was kind of tough for my wife, and she likes to watch. So we ended up just having the kids stay home, and they'd watch, and there'd be a lot of streams and stuff on my local fights. And then when I got into the UFC, they've been to a few of my fights now, and but they always watch on TV. My kids are 10, 8, and 6, and so they kind of know what's going on and what Daddy does. So,
well, we got a few fan questions on Instagram. We got Shamadly in love with you. It says, "How did you first get into mixed martial arts?"
I seen it on TV, seen the UFC on TV, and it started from there. I just saw it, fell in love with it. I always wanted to box when I was young, and didn't really get into that. And so when I saw the UFC, I was like, man, this is awesome, and it's really competitive and back and forth, and a man versus man, or person versus person, woman or man, against each other. So you just see who the best is that night, and I was just really intrigued and went after it.
And then the next one on Instagram is from Spencer Brecken 2, and it says, "What's your favorite fight that you've ever had?"
My favorite fight that I've ever had?
Yeah.
My favorite fight now is the Vicente Luque fight. I thought that fight was a lot of fun, and I got to show a lot of my skills, and it was just a fun fight. It was a war. I never mind a war. That's always fun. I'd have to put that one down as my most favorite.
Then we got two more from Twitter, and one's from Doc the Yankee, and it says, "How's the farm, and when can I come visit? All the best, bro."
I don't know. I mean, reach out and maybe we can see the come by, see the farm. But love it, man. It's great out here.
And then Secret Squirrel, if you could fight anyone, current or from the past, like if you had one fight left ever, who would you want to fight?
Man, one fight left ever. I mean, that just changes everything from like who would I want
And I
to
guess
fight.
anybody ever.
You know, I always one of my favorite fighters growing up when I first started watching was actually one of the first fights I seen was Chuck Liddell, and I was like, he was the champ at the time, or he just won the belt, and he's fighting Tito, and I was like, man. So I personally, I just like to. I think it'd be cool to just fight Chuck, just because, you know, he's the first person I kind of pretty much watched and got to do that with. But there's a lot of others that I'd love to share the octagon with, just in respect and honor for them, and just out of pure fun to go at it with them.
Yeah, speaking of Tito Ortiz, you see he's still like competing, and he's saying he could beat John Jones and everything like that.
I mean, yeah, I didn't watch his last fight. I wasn't really interested in watching it, so I didn't watch it. But the fact that he says about John Jones, that's crazy to me. Like, his time has passed.
Yeah, way past. Do you think you could have beat him in his prime?
Okay, but there's no reason to say that you're going to beat John Jones or anything. He's just trying to keep his name relevant in now time, but he's past his prime.
Do you feel like Tito could have in his prime beat John Jones right now?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
I feel like even Tito in his prime would have fought John Jones. I mean, Jones's striking is better than what Chuck's was, you know, more technical and more vicious as far as bringing in elbows and knees, and his ground game is wrestling. His pedigree is even better. So it's like, I don't think he would have stood a chance.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got for you, man, today. I appreciate you coming on and showing me some love on here. And if you got anything to say, you can shout anybody out or anything like that.
Yeah, I just want to thank some people. You know, I want to thank everybody who's watching, and everybody who's supported me and stuck by me and been real, and always been there for me and supporting, watching my fights and rooting for me. I'm going to come back. I'm going to put on some more fights, some more shows, so stay tuned. And also, thanks to my sponsors, Rodkeys and CBD and Gold Club Canine Groups, also Sweet James Bergener, and the law firm of the Bergener Law Firm. Appreciate you guys. Everybody who's always been there for me and helped me out on my journey and my road. My wife and my kids, Diana, Deegan, Sheltevia, I love you. I would not be able to do this without them and be where I'm at without them. So love them, thank them, of course. And just thank you, my family and my friends, and you, the fans, always for watching. Thank you. And thank you.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
Having me on and talking with me.
That's no problem, man. We'll have to do it again one day.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later. Appreciate you again.
All right. Yep. Thank you.